What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is flannel season again. It came back and hit us in May, and I'm going to tell you, this weekend, if you felt like you were cooped up inside, I wasn't. I was at a minor league baseball game, both Saturday night and Sunday, in two different Muskox flannels, comfortable as could be in the upper 50s. Then went to a bar on Saturday night with a buddy. Didn't need to change clothes or anything. Same outfit, same Muskox flannel, comfortable, look good. Outdoors in 55-degree weather and inside in 70-degree weather. That is the magic of Muskox. You are comfortable, you feel great, you look good. And even though I'm a fat oaf, I felt like I looked good. And so as I looked at the people around me, I thought they probably think that guy looks good. That's the confidence you get in a Muskox flannel. Visit GoMuskox.com. GoMuskox.com, where you can use the promo code Fix It in Post, all one word, for $15 off your flannel purchase. GoMuskox.com. You can look and feel as good as me. And if you're thinking about Father's Day, also a great thing to give the father-in-law, your own dad, any dad in your life you think deserves a quality flannel. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Come here, Minnesota! What did we tell you? 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 Come here and take it! Let's go!
What's up, buddy? I don't know if fat oaf is a great way to describe me. That's not very nice of yourself. But you were out Saturday night without your wife? You were just, you and a buddy?
Yeah, in town. He was from out of town. Yeah, he dropped his daughter off in Ann Arbor with friends and then came out here he's from Chicago and came and we went out and...
you guys hit the town? Paint it red, as they say?
Sorta. We played some tennis in tornado-type winds, and then went to a minor league baseball game.
Did you guys not look at the weather report at all?
We knew. We just planned to play tennis. We don't see each other that often. We're like, fuck Mother Nature. Like, we got this plan. You didn't get your shit together. That's not on us, right?
She is a wild bitch. Yeah.
Sometimes
you got to defy her.
Yes, and we played. It was good because you didn't overly break a sweat because it wasn't too hot. But then, my wife was like, Do you want me to pick you guys up afterwards?
Hell yeah. And
my thought was, we'll Uber it home. We're gonna be out till 2 a.m. You don't want this. Like 11.
You guys don't have like a rideshare program in your guys' neighborhood? Well,
we could have.
You guys take walks with each other randomly, share cats. I mean, would it be wild to call your neighbor and be like, hey, man?
The other thing is by 11:15 we were calling. We were ready. She could come get us.
I would make fun of that, but that's way past like my bedtime nowadays, so I can't even goof on you.
I mean, you put in like 4.5, 5 hours out. That's what you got.
Yeah, and what else is there to do? If you're not going to do any shenanigans, like really, if guys our age, if you're not going to get into shenanigans, should you be out past 11? And by shenanigans, I mean adult strip clubs and all that stuff. And if you're not into that, what is really the point? Being out that
and you know what else changes as you get older? You think about how you'll feel the next day.
Oh yeah.
So when you're on and I know you don't drink anymore, and that's made most of your days feel great.
Way easier, yeah.
Yeah. But when you're on like beer number 6 and you're thinking about beer number 7
and the food that's going to come after that.
You start to think like, what do I want Sunday to be? And you start to make more mature decisions about that. Whereas in the old days, it was like, it's Sunday. I don't know what Sunday is.
Whatever. We'll just wake up and do a shot. We'll be back to normal.
Yeah, Sunday. So anyway, that was how that unfolded.
That's awesome.
But
glad you had fun, man.
But yeah, it was in a Muskox flannel both nights, and look, felt fantastic. And this is, if you live in Michigan, this Muskox flannels are built.
It's the only silver lining of this shit weather that we're having in May right now, though. Just saying, is to be able to grab your Muskox flannel, because that's what I did today. I was like, hoodie? Nah, might as well get one more Muskox flannel. But I'm really pissed that it's May. I was at my nephew's soccer game on Saturday. I had a winter fucking hat on. I'm like, what is happening? And then I blamed Eastlick out of nowhere. And people are like, what? Who's Chris Eastlick? Why are you yelling about this guy at your nephew's soccer game?
Eastlick takes a lot of abuse.
I was like, I'm sorry. Just I lash out the ones I love sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, Muskox has really sweet winter hats. And they also have I love their baseball caps, and just ordered a couple for myself and my wife at GoMuskox.com as well. So we've been gone a little bit. Some things have happened. I don't remember any of them, but we're gonna get into them and our takes and yours. Some really good stuff. I think this is gonna be a good MSU football, basketball, betting, golf, Tigers, Lions discussion today. It's gonna be a lot of good stuff. So I'm excited.
Golf. Brutal, especially when your wife has one of the top guys on a Sunday when she live bet him in the third round after all the work you put into the week. Yeah, it's fuck golf.
My message to you, I was just making sure we were doing a show today, and you're like, I don't think I can. I'm too embarrassed about my golf bets.
I know, because you know what? I've actually taken it seriously, this golf betting thing. I guess this is one of my takes, but whatever. About how much I love the game of golf, and I have been changing the way I've bet. I haven't bet on one Tigers game all season long. I haven't bet on the NBA playoffs because I take my small little units that I want to bet during the week and I use them on golf, and that's kind of, I've enjoyed, since the Tigers are doing so well and some of my favorite teams are doing so well, I've kind of focused on golf, and I think that is the most disappointing thing is when you're kind of carefree doing it and you lose. It's no big deal, but when you're actually putting time in, you're crushing tape. Actually crushing tape on golf. You're watching a lot. I'm watching every round of these golf tournaments, and I think I have a spin or kind of a thing on it, and I need to join like a golf syndicate. I don't know. How do I get into a syndicate? I've heard of these syndicates. I know it's smart people. They don't need someone like me. I'm willing to get coffee for people. I'm willing to run errands for some of the people in the syndicate. If you just let me in.
They don't know anything.
They don't know anything? I don't know. Some of these guys that do it right, the smart guys that have their own system, their own kind of...
They win 53% of the time, and nobody
I'll
wants
take that. Please give me one of those 53%ers. I'm just saying. I just want to act like I know what I'm talking about sometimes. But I tell you what, I'm sticking with it because I do love the game of golf. I started out decent, but the past majors, I mean, the picks I've given out have just been... When you sit there and give a guy out, especially when you live bet after a guy makes the cut, and then he goes, Young An, no, I'm not pronouncing that, but Young An... goes out and fires a 75, 78 after you live bet after he makes the cut to make a top 20. I mean, it just takes some of your soul, kind of like John Rahm yesterday. But that's the other thing. So, Treese had a little piece of John Rahm that, by the way, she didn't ask me anything.
Yeah.
Just after, in the middle of the third round, I think she was just on her app bored, and she goes, how about John Rahm? So then I have that going on, too, that she had a possibility until he shit the bed. But, like, going, my God, my wife barely pays attention. She pays attention because I have it on, but man.
So a few thoughts on this. One, I find it incredibly sad, but I'm with you here that like when the Tigers were horrible, we enjoyed betting against them. Now that they're good, there's like, I don't really,
Yeah, but when they were that bad, they were putting up historically bad numbers. I know, believe me.
And by the way, everybody should be on, and we should be on this too. Everybody should be betting against the Rockies and White Sox every night because that's where the money is this year. Mm-hmm. And a lot of money has been lost by not doing that to this point, and that shame on us. We
really need to jump on it, but I've been enjoying the Tigers, I haven't had to really force myself.
Occasionally, I'll put money on them to win, but I never bet against them at this point. But
better not, Pete Rose.
Yeah, wouldn't do that. But, to the golf point, though, this is the first. I've been so miserable on golf, and I usually lose hard-earned money I've won on soccer and everything on golf, and so this time I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is Scotty Scheffler plus 350 to win.
Nice.
That's all I did.
Why not?
And then I live bet Max Homa, and of course he then shit the bed. And that's why you don't do that stuff, because Max Homa sucks.
But Max Homa was a good story. If you want to just sprinkle that, I mean, I don't dissuade anybody from doing that.
Max Homa seemed like a good bet at one point, and then
top 5, top 10, something like that. But Scotty
was great, and so I barely watched the whole thing. I just put 350 plus 350 on him and won, and I feel good about that. It was a $50 bet, paid out like $175.
But he was like 5 shots off the lead. He was still like, I think, minus money at some point. It's just ridiculous.
He's incredible. It's absolutely.
By the way, do you know how old Scotty Scheffler is?
33. I don't know.
He's 28 years old.
Holy crap!
I know, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't know, you would think he's what, late 30s.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. My next take. So Michigan State basketball added a transfer. While we were away. Luckily, not big enough that I would have to like break vacation and write a quick takes or anything like that. Point guard out of Miami, Divine Ugo Chukwu.
Oh man, you should just
already.
went with the first one.
Ugo Chukwu, I think it is. I don't know. I've heard it a couple different ways.
I feel like from here on out, you should just try it once and just try it confidently.
We're just going to call it Divine until I hear it.
Chukwu.
Because Izzo will screw it up for a while too. So everybody will have it wrong.
Cockburn.
And then even when I wrote it out, I'm looking at my notes here, and this screwed it up. My not spell check, but my autocorrect changed it considerably. So now it's not even right in front of me.
Autocorrect is ass,
Autocorrect.
especially on Apple products. I love Apple products. I have a lot of Apple products, but their spell check is ass.
Autocorrect is brutal. Anyway, I think this will be it for MSU basketball. I think 11 is it. I do not think they're going to add another transfer. I don't know that for sure. I didn't check in any of this in the week I was off. Just sort of, this was my sense going in that 11 would be it going into the week, and I've heard nothing this morning that makes me think otherwise. I could be wrong. There could be something else coming down the pike. I assumed and assumed that Jace Richardson's gone for a long time. Still think he is. There were some comments by him at the NBA Combine that made me think that maybe it's not door slammed shut entirely on him. But those are just comments. That's not me talking to his folks or him or anything to make me think that.
I think I'd take that. I'll take that right now with a possibility.
Sure.
A low possibility.
Absolutely.
Jace comes back.
Absolutely. He may still decide he wants to do it on the year. But otherwise, I think 11 is it. And I personally would have taken a bigger swing, I think, at another shooting guard, a sort of a proven player. And maybe they did, and we don't know about it. And I'm not sure if they didn't, why they didn't. Maybe it's just practical. My estimation of this roster, if I look at what I think certain guys are making, is it's about a $5 million roster. And maybe I'm a little high on that, but maybe not. I don't know how much more money there is. I know if Jace Richardson did want to come back, you're talking, a couple more million, certainly. And I think they would find the money for him. And that may have been part of the difficulty, and also whether you're going to add some player, but also in recruitment. If you can't guarantee a kid that Jace Richardson's not coming back, you can't guarantee a kid they're going to start at the 2. And that could be a trick. So I don't know why entirely they didn't. I will, because we do have some takes on this when people are saying this is a meh class, and we'll see what it winds up being as a transfer portal class. I think there's some intriguing players, both as freshmen and in the transfer portal class. And I think there's some guys coming back that could take big steps, and it could be a really good team. We'll see. I think there is, though, you can look at it and say, even with the addition of this kid out of Miami is the backup to Jeremy Fears, who doesn't look like he's a combo. Doesn't look like a guy who's going to play next to Fears. That really you only have 2 guys who are point guards on the team. And if you look at last year's team, they had 3 guys who could deal with it. In a pinch, you could have had Jaden Akins do it, but you had Jace Richardson, you had Trey Holloman, and you had Jeremy Fears. This team seems like they're an ankle roll away from real trouble in that sense. So I would have gone after one more player. That would be me. I don't know why they didn't to this point. At some point, I'll have that conversation with Izzo or one of their assistants soon, and if they're done, and we'll figure that out. And everybody has their right to feel how they do about it. And maybe they did make a legitimate effort. Maybe they didn't. I think the roster's pretty pricey as is. I think it's more expensive than a year ago. I think the cost of all these guys has gone up.
The urinal or portal.
But I also think it has a chance to still be a pretty good team. I do. I when I look at this group, I think there's some vulnerabilities perhaps in the backcourt if there's an injury. I think you're putting some faith in guys developing, but that's what college basketball has always been until this portal. Say that this isn't going to work. When you talk about roster management, I think last year's roster management was pretty damn good for Michigan State. I think last year's roster management, which maybe looked good for certain teams going into the season or out of the summer, didn't turn out to be as well. So to me, it looked like there was an opportunity to go in and get a shooting guard or to really go take a swing at one. Maybe financially that just didn't make sense. Maybe also the Jace Richardson possibility made that harder. And maybe they have more faith in the guys they have than maybe we do. And so people are going to have to trust that, and people absolutely have the right to feel how they feel about it. I don't think, though, this is a staff that's sitting around going, we're not, let's take it easy. Let's get the break early. Let's not try to win at all costs. Let's not die trying. I don't think that's what they're doing. And you may disagree with the approach. I can question whether there was another move to be made. I think 11 is a decent number overall, especially when you got 11 guys who think they're going to play. But I don't know. Where are you on that?
But now that you've dropped the possible hint, I feel like you jumped in and said, I don't know anything, but Jace Richardson, there's a possibility. I mean,
I'm not saying
so. Now everybody's going to hear that and go.
So I'm not saying that based on any information. I'm saying that based on quotes I read from him and not my own conversation. And what I don't like about doing that, and the reason I don't want to lean too much into that,
I like it,
is when I have a conversation with Jace Richardson or anybody else that I've gotten to know over time, it's not just what they say, it's how they say it, it's the tone, it's them right in front of you. You get a real sense whether something really has a chance to be. And that has not happened yet. At some point, I will have those conversations. I haven't yet. So I don't want you to don't read any more in it. I'm not saying I know more than the quotes that came out of there were. But he said he was going to talk to his parents and see what they thought and
hypothetically, let's say that he did end up choosing to come back. How would that change the current roster the way it sits? Because a lot of those guys are thinking he's not coming back. So if Jace comes back, would that maybe have a ripple effect on anything to where guys would go, wait a minute, you know?
Well, no, I don't think so, because I think for the guys they got, and you look at the roster, I mean, certainly with Kurtang, knew there was always a possibility Jace Richardson would be there. And if Jace Richardson's position is sort of the if you look at the roster and you say there could be a hole and you say that's the most likely hole, he fits into that without ruining. I mean, look, Trey Fort is I think a nice pickup, but he's not somebody who can demand that he starts, that demand that he play, that Jace Richardson, there be nobody in his path, that he's the guy. Like, he's not done that at a high enough level to prove that. So, I don't know. I would say there's still a more than 90% chance Jace Richardson doesn't come back. That this is the roster, and I'm going to write
10%.
I'm going to
take that.
I'm going to write this week a roster analysis for the LSJ, player by player, based on this 11, and really dig into each guy. And because I think this is going to be the roster, and I think it could be a good roster, but I think there are things to look at and how guys fit. And look, I think wing through center, there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of things I like about this roster. And obviously there's some guys who have to take big steps. But that used to be the way it always was in college basketball. You just lost what you lost, and you had to develop from one season to the next, and sometimes it surprised you and sometimes it didn't. And it was hard to fix what you didn't have already because the transfer portal didn't exist. The transfer portal has made that more possible, but it's also made roster management more difficult. And I think Izzo is, based on last year, he's long since earned the right to do what he wants, but earned the right to have a little more faith in him and what he's trying to do. Now, I could have a conversation 2 weeks from now with him and he's like, yeah, we tried to do this and it's just harder to do than you think, or we missed on this. He's not going to say bluntly they missed on a certain guy, but not publicly at least. But I think 11's a good number, and
I think 10%'s a great number.
I think the roster is interesting, and I think the Jace Richardson thing, and we talked about this in the middle of the season when Jace Richardson had his game against Oregon. What was one of my takes the next week? It was like
he had a 0% chance of coming back.
No, that was the first time you really looked at him. It was basically like that game cost Izzo his second national championship. As good as that was for Michigan State in the moment, the point was that cost. If you're going to have a team that really has, like, if you add Jace Richardson to the roster they have coming in next year, the length they've added on the wing, the different types of players, they look to me like they are a Jace Richardson away from really, really, really contending. Now, maybe one of these guys that they have will fill that void. Maybe they won't. But that would be the thing that they would need, in my estimation, at this point, to really be a team that's pushing the top five and is there at the end.
The other question is about Cam Ward, the freshman, right? The forward. Is Izzo going to sit there? Is he confident about a guy like that? Maybe that's why he's not making another move. And I think people are just wanting Izzo to win his second national title, which I don't think with the guys that he's brought in, it feels like that could be a national champ. I mean, you watched the Final Four last year. Is this a team that could compete with the levels of teams like that? I think that's where people see it and go, I mean, they trust Izzo to get solid basketball players and great men, guys that become great men and all that, in the professional world, in the NBA, some of them. But I just think that's why where some of the frustration is. There's not big names, and some of these guys you see, you're just kind of fringe guys. And you're like, all right. Of course, you have to trust Izzo, but I don't know if I trust him enough to sit there and have enough talent to get that second natty, and I think that's what a lot of people want.
The problem is the offseason is too long and boring. There's too much time to think, and there's too much time on social media then to have another opinion that comes 3 or 4 days later. Like we're not built for this. It used to not be quite this way, and it just makes it so much worse that we have all these access to our thoughts and then we think we know shit that we don't know. Like, I really ought to go back and I hate doing this.
Don't do it.
Pull back receipts from people, what they said like a year ago about certain players. Or I know what was said about Jace Richardson. I certainly know that. Like, Jace Richardson was not somebody that people had a lot of faith in as a prospect. He was viewed as a 3-star guy. I certainly didn't have a lot of faith in him as a prospect. So we often don't know jack shit. And sometimes, and now I'll say this, though, the staff didn't know that Jace Richardson was going to be what he became, to the level he was. They had an inkling he'd be better than maybe his than he was set up to be. But yeah, we'll see what this team is. I think it'll be a really good roster. Will it be a championship level roster? Some guys are going to have to take big steps, and that used to be the way it just was, and maybe they should have done more. But guys are going to have to develop the way guys used to develop in college basketball, and the way you used to rely on that from year to year is certain guys left and you replace them. And if that happens, maybe they'll be a contender again. If it doesn't, they won't. I think they've done some nice things. I personally would have taken a big swing at another 2-guard, and they have either not done that or didn't land that person. What's your next take?
Oh, shit, all right.
Big night.
Fuego, gracias, señor. Vamos, Lions.
Vamos, a ver, 1, 2, 3.
Vamos, Lions.
Have you looked at the Lions schedule? Have you gone over it? It was announced when we were gone,
brutal.
right?
It's brutal.
How many wins do you got? You want to go through it real quick? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Week 1, Green Bay. We own Green Bay. It's at Lambeau. 1-0.
Okay.
Chicago at home. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to take
Ben
that
Johnson.
Yep.
Going to get wrecked. Belt to ass. 2-0. Baltimore at Baltimore.
Tough one.
Yeah, 2-1.
Okay.
Cleveland.
3-1?
3-1. At Cincy. Now,
that's tough.
I need to know if we're going to get to the quarterback. How are we getting to the quarterback? What injury? Obviously, this whole thing, as I go through it, as I've been going through it ever since it was announced, I'm just going, what injuries are we going to have?
Let's say this. At Cincinnati, at Kansas City, can we say between those two games 1-1? We don't know which one.
I was going to have W in Cincinnati.
Okay.
At Cincinnati.
So 4-1.
Since the NFL's rigged, Kansas City, that would be the loss. That's
Okay.
an 8 o'clock game.
4-2.
All right. And then before the bye week, Monday night, Tampa Bay, that's a W. So what do we got so far? And that's before the bye week.
That's 5-2.
With 4 road games right there. 4-2.
5-2.
5-2, excuse me. And then after the bye week, Minnesota at home.
Yep.
I think that's a W. And then we have Washington at Washington, the Commanders who stole our soul at home. I think we get revenge.
Yeah.
And then the next week at Philly, I'd say that's a loss. Where are we at?
So that's 3 losses. So that's 7-3.
All right, I like it. New York, that's a W.
8-3.
Green Bay, we own them at home. Another win.
9-3 on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Okay.
Dallas, that's a W.
10-3.
At Los Angeles, the Rams. SoFi, not really. I don't know. I respect McVay.
Let's give it a loss. Somewhere we could be wrong somewhere along the way. 11-4. Let's say 11-4. Is that fair?
Yeah, I still think we get the W, though. We played them a lot.
12-3.
We know them. And give me the W there. 12-3. Pittsburgh at home.
13-3.
I think that we lose that game.
Really?
Yeah. Just some. I don't know. I don't know why.
Who's their quarterback?
It's going to be Aaron Rodgers. It has to be Aaron Rodgers, right? Or basically, fuck it, if it's Mason Rudolph, give us the W.
9-4. 9-4.
At Minnesota, Christmas Day.
10-4. Sorry.
At Minnesota, I think we get that. I think we sweep them too as well, as long as with Green Bay. And fuck Chicago, the last game, the flex game at Chicago. Definitely not going to the Bears game this year because that's going to be after December. It's going to be one of their flex. Oh my God, it's going to be freezing.
So are we? Is it 13-4? Are we
I have 13 wins.
13-4.
I have 13 wins. I don't know if
tough schedule,
is that correct. I understand it's a tough schedule, but look at Dan Campbell on the road the past 2 seasons. I mean, we did win 15 with all the injuries, the injury situation we went through last year. Everybody's saying, oh, in my 54 years of watching the NFL, I've never seen injuries like this, and we won 15 games. I can understand the schedule looks scary, at face value, but I feel like when you go through it, I have 13 wins.
Yeah. Well, we
won 27 games in 2 seasons, and we're like, all of a sudden, we see a schedule that doesn't look right. We're in the prime of our quote-unquote window. Yeah. I just don't, I was listening to 97.1. I was listening to Valetti, and he's panicky Pete about it, and he sees 10 wins, and all these other people see 9 wins. I'm like, okay. Now, if there's injuries, absolutely. Of course, I can see that. But if you're saying right now, at face value, you're saying no injuries, you're just looking at the schedule, and you see 10 wins, that would be disappointing.
What is the Lions over-under at this point? Do we know?
I have not seen a number on it.
I think it's out there, right?
I would think so if they announce a schedule.
Hold on.
I usually wait for Simmons and Sal.
I am the passenger.
I'm not talking about this.
No.
No.
I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, the bright in the
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
All right.
so good tonight.
Maybe I don't. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it yet. Maybe they're not out. I'm probably just missing it, and I'm trying to do it on the fly. And you try and log into something these days, and immediately not recognizes your face, and it's got a swirl, and it slows things down. We're doing a live podcast. Just let me go to the site, people. I don't need all the bells and whistles.
And they need another authentication, so they send you a number, even though they have your face.
Yes, it's.
I feel like if you have my face, what would we need to go another step where you send me a number?
On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I need the thing that allows me to bypass all that shit in the afternoon. That's what
you
I
would
need.
think face recognition would do all of that.
It should.
Yeah,
it should. Although my face, in defense, like they're like, oh, did he gain 5 pounds? Like, ooh. But is that his face? Is that how many chins is that? Like I don't.
You're pretty hard on yourself, man.
Sorry,
Jesus. It's fat oaf earlier. No.
Yeah. That's
too fat for face recognition. I mean, wouldn't that be like something that you would do? And you'd be like, man, I should probably get my shit together. If your face recognition is like, whoa, who is this guy? After working for 12 straight weeks, I don't know.
Hopefully it can evolve with my face as it gets fatter and uglier.
By the way, going through the schedule blows unless your team's great.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those years of doing the Lions schedule, man, that's fun. I love going through the schedule. We'll have to do that again in July.
We'll have plenty of time.
Oh, thank God.
I will. My last take here. Detroit Pistons, be careful this summer. Do not pay anybody prematurely.
Pound the bushes.
You have to be disciplined. You've got what's going to be about $19 million in cap space after Cade Cunningham is all NBA and eats about $8 million more of that. There are only 3 teams maybe in the NBA have cap space. It's a horrible free agent class. That doesn't really matter for that. It matters for trades and flexibility. The second apron, which you hear about in the salary cap, what essentially is a hard cap, is changing the NBA and salaries and team building. Don't get trapped, because this is going to be a year. This is going to be a moment, and it's going to really start to happen next year. You don't want to you want to be able to turn players into assets and never pay above market value for anybody who isn't a 1-2 on a championship team. I'm telling you, there are a lot of teams whose windows are closing fast who are going to have to shed. I mean, it is amazing to watch what's happening in the NBA now. And you look at Indiana and New York at the top of the East, and the Pistons aren't that far away. You just got to make smart moves. Do not get trapped overpaying for anybody, because players are going to start to realize the salaries are going to come down on a lot of these guys real quick. Not the top couple guys, but everybody else, because there isn't going to be a market for them. Don't be one of the last teams to overpay before everybody realizes that.
The second apron. Who came up with that? Is like a new Russillo Simmons thing?
No, that's the name of it. It's the second apron. The first apron and second apron. And it allows you to...
Never heard of that.
Jesus, where you been? That's what's happening. That's why...
That's what's happening?
If you're in the second apron, you get charged this massive luxury tax. You can't trade players without it being a 1-for-1 exactly. You can't do a lot of stuff. You have to stay out of that. And... yeah, no, if you're the Pistons, keep the flexibility as long as you can and hold off on guys. You're looking at Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey and all these guys running up against time. If you lose one has to walk away. They're not going to get paid anywhere else anyway, because they're not going to be any money to really, really pay people. Do not overpay before you know. Don't pay anybody prematurely. Just be careful. Keep your flexibility. Don't get caught being one of these teams that really shortens their window by doing that. Stay on the ascension. You're not that far away. That is my lesson to the Pistons this summer. If they don't do a lot, that's okay. That is absolutely okay, as long as they're not spending a lot this summer. I'm absolutely okay with that. Do you have anything else?
Buenos tardes. It is time
We're not going to talk Tigers?
Tigers gambling update.
I mean,
With Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
not going to talk Tigers after, come on.
Oh, we got lots of
the
Tigers.
Twins,
Yeah.
who won 13 straight games, not even a sweat, because we're still leading the division by 5 games. Is this real? Is there anything better than going through a Lions schedule when you have a great team, other than having your baseball team have the best record in baseball after barely making the playoffs last year, having a less than 1% chance? I'm not going to apologize to Javi Baez, though. I mean, this is great. We can say that, right? I don't feel like I have to apologize to him. I mean, it's great to watch him. It's been one of the more frustrating things, even having, Fat Miggy all those years, all the best shape of his life. But to sit there and have Javi run all of these down in center field and raking like he is. Akil Baddoo yesterday with 2 great catches. And everybody's like, do they need to add a bat? I don't know. I don't know if they need to add a bat, right? I mean, they're getting the job done. They're winning games the way they do it. Do you want to sit there and bring in another guy that maybe, Well,
and you're going to add Parker Meadows at some point, obviously.
Right.
Veerling's coming back. What I would do is this. I would just let this play for another month or so. You're going to get to July.
Dude, let this shit play forever if we're going to lead the –
What I mean is, though, at a certain point, yeah, and if this continues at this rate, maybe you're okay. But they still do need, I think, another bat somewhere.
I want to agree, but then they win game after game.
And they have assets to do. There is a time to be all in on that player. And to me, what you don't want to do is be this team that – because the one thing you'll notice about them is they're really good against teams that are good and bad, not teams that are great. Now, that's going to happen, right? Teams that are great. But, their record is the best in baseball. Do I think they are the best team in baseball in a 7-game series? No, I think there are 4 or 5 teams that I would pick above them. And so the question then becomes, at a certain point, if the goal then is trying to win a World Series, and we know that the regular season doesn't have shit to do with the postseason half the time, at a certain point, you have assets, you have good prospects, you built this thing. Use it if you can get that player in a trade. And you're going to be an attractive place that people want to be if you're winning like this anyway. You don't want to rent a player for a whole lot. I mean, obviously, if you can do it without giving up a ton. But to me, if you can go get somebody, the Gary Sheffield, or whatever it was of back then, if you can go get a bat that really changes your lineup, that makes it so you're dealing with Torque and that player back to back in the middle of the lineup. Riley Green, Torque back,
But it just seems like Scott Harris can always find value. You look like Manuel Margot. I know that he was on the injured list, but he had a nice little spurt there where he came up and gave the offense a little bit of help. I just don't know if you need to make a move. I don't know who that Gary Sheffield kind of player is right now. I'm not opposed to any of that, but it just seems like if stuff is working, it's when you want to start tinkering with that, you just have to be careful. And I don't know. I just am
you have to be careful
enjoying this run here. It's unbelievable.
There's no question. One of the things I'm also enjoying is they have a lot of young players still coming up through the system who I'm excited to see over time.
Right.
Like, what will Max Clark become? You don't want to trade Max Clark in a couple years from now. Max Clark's raking 40 home runs and batting 300 somewhere. That said, you also have to look at and I'm not saying that baseball isn't like other sports. Windows are different. There's no salary cap, right? But you do have Tarek Skubal now for at least this year and next year. You do have the best record in the sport. You might as well, if this is the time to maybe give up a decent prospect to get a great bat. You know what I mean? This is the time to do it. Eventually the idea is to win a World Series. And so why is it better not to do that now than try to do that 3 years from now? Do it now if you can. And so I think you have to be into a certain point without, you don't give away the farm, but if you can get a guy who pushes you over the top, who makes you that much scarier in October, I'd want to do it, Finally, also was announced the NBA draft lottery while we were gone. And it just makes me laugh because I was watching Dan Patrick the next day and, everybody talking about the rigged allegations, even though that's the 5th time someone a team under 3% chances won the number 1 pick overall. I mean, a lot of it does seem conspiratorial, right? Is it crazy to sit there and go, it's a felony if, or something like that. They were saying it was a felony if the NBA played along with it. It's a federal crime or something like that. Would that be the craziest thing to ever happen to the NBA though? If it came out that they were rigging these NBA draft lotteries, it could never come out. They would be better off murdering people to keep them silent before it came out, pushing them down a flight of stairs, whatever it might be. Because
that's what happened to David Stern then.
Well, because here's the thing: there have been enough of these. I don't believe there's been a conspiracy. But when you go to the Spurs
not
a couple
all.
Times,
not a little part.
You go to the Knicks with you. Anyway, if it came out that one of these had been rigged, and then it calls into question all of them being rigged.
Shaq.
You think about the amount of money and law. Every team could sue within the NBA for all the money they could have recouped if they had won title. The mess would be incredible if it came out that one of these had been rigged.
But less of a mess if LeBron ended up going to Sacramento. Right.
Yeah.
That would be a bigger mess for the NBA.
You know who?
I just like that we can't talk about some of these things that are actually conspiracy theories when you got some of these QAnon MFers just throwing out whatever. I understand that. They ruin it for the rest of us that just want to have a nice little conspiracy. And then you wake up the next day to your favorite sports program, and the guy's like, it's a federal crime. How dare you? That's the dumbest thing. Why would you ever think? Like, you can't even think that the NBA would rig something like that. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way,
that's the only thing that bothers me.
A lot of those insiders, too, in the NBA and other sports are so in bed with the league, and let's look at their tweets. Look the way Shams puts out his tweets. It's like just all the accolades that a player got. Like, it's clear the agent said put this out. Like, it's so nauseating. I can't even believe those guys sleep at night. So if something
he looks at his bank account,
if you're being scolded by an insider, like, just don't.
I mean, Woj was selling his old cell phones. I mean, these guys aren't all up there. I mean, you have to kind of sell a little bit of your soul if you want that position.
100%, a little bit of your soul.
I'm trying to be nice here.
You got to sell a lot of your soul.
Yeah.
If you want that position.
All right.
Yeah. No. And you know who would feel even worse is the Bulls. Like, the Chicago Bulls had a coin flip with the Mavericks for that spot, and they would have had the balls that got chosen, the lottery, the ping pong balls or whatever, and that. So if you're the Bulls, man, you just never
feel your balls.
Yeah, never. You never get any luck. Quickly before we get to our listener takes and some really good stuff and conversations ahead, the most entertaining thing I saw this weekend, presented by our friends at Xfinity and Comcast. Jason, most entertaining thing I saw by far.
Yeah.
You're going to hate this.
Soccer.
FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace beat Man City. Been 164 years, that club. Never won a major trophy. They won it. You see, like, grown-ups crying in the stands. Just the emotion, what that means to people. It's the thing we don't quite have in this country, the generational loyalty to one club. I'm
sorry, what? I have the Lions. I've been loyal.
Yeah, you have, but it's not generational. Was your dad loyal to the Lions like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad's been a Lions fan.
Was his dad?
My grandpa didn't really care for much.
Well, there you go. See, that's not England. In England, your grandpa would have.
Well, we don't like my grandpa anyway.
Well, that doesn't happen in England. Everybody likes their grandpa.
Oh, okay.
It's just different. Anyway,
must be nice.
It was fun to see that happen and to watch a club of sort of a mid-table club that's had their ups and downs from the Premier League win the FA Cup, beat Man City. The emotions, how much it meant to the players, how much it meant to the fans, how much it meant to the club. It's the one thing I wish we had that level of just investment from fan to player. And we have, it's close. Like when a player wins an NBA championship, it's an emotional moment. Fans are into it. They're parades. I'm not saying we don't have some of that, but there is a level there. And what they also have in like winning the FA Cup isn't winning the Premier League. It's like a secondary thing. You won a tournament between all the clubs in England. They have these secondary things that mean a lot. That we're trying to create that with the in-season tournament in the NBA. Can't quite do it. But there's just some stuff I'm envious of. It was fun to watch. It was incredible. You can see the replay still on like ESPN Plus if you want, which you, by the way, can get through your Comcast membership. You can also get Peacock through your Comcast memberships, which is something that I watch all my soccer on and a lot of my programs. My stories, as they like to say. And also, by the way, one of the really cool things this month that Comcast is doing, they have a program called Comcast Rise, a national initiative. And this year, Grand Rapids and Muskegon have been selected as one of the regions to participate. Great opportunity for small business owners in Michigan. So there's an application window now through May 31st. If you know anyone who might be interested in applying or learning more, then go to ComcastRise.com. It's really cool. It's for independent businesses, which are the backbones of our community, and Comcast is proud to support the growth of small businesses and entrepreneurs committed to uplifting their local communities. The program is built to help businesses and their communities thrive with a focus on economic growth. This year, Comcast Rise is proud to announce that additional 500 recipients across 5 regions will receive comprehensive grant packages. And these grants include technology makeover, creative production, media schedule, educational resources, grants, consulting, lots of really cool stuff. Again, ComcastRise.com. And if you know somebody or a business in the Grand Rapids and Muskegon area that might be worthy of this, let them know. It's a good opportunity to apply and get some help. And Comcast doing good things for small businesses in our area. Are you ready to dig into our listener hot takes?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Right. Eric Schultz up first. Number one, last season was a ton of fun, but let's be real. It was anywhere from Izzo's 12th to 15th best team and was only that good because a freshman who was supposed to be a role player ended up being a pro. It certainly doesn't exempt Izzo from skepticism relating to roster building and portal additions. And two, as it stands, this looks like a failed portal cycle. If it ends up being the case, that'd be 3 failures in 4 portal cycles and 5 of 6 seasons being mediocre at best. We got to let it play out, but if it turns out, as I fear, it's 100% reasonable to question the direction of the program under Izzo.
If it turns out how you fear, sure. It is.
The urinal or portal.
Look, I think roster building right now is as tricky as ever. And Izzo is trying to do something old school, combination new school, where he's trying to develop players and develop a roster and retain a roster. And again, I would ask people, like, if the guys who he brought in were the guys coming back, and the guys that are coming back were the guys he brought in. If he brought in Cohen Carr, Jeremy Fears, Jackson Kohler, like, how excited would people be about that? Like, how good would those guys be as transfer additions? Now, again, it doesn't, when he says die trying, that should mean you're trying everything possible. And I do wonder why, I do look at that 2-guard position. I look at the depth of ball handlers, and there's a little bit of a concern there. But they may believe in Kurt Teng. They may believe in Trey Fort. They may believe that this Divine kid is going to be a real help as a backup point guard, and they're totally solid there. And they've got enough help on the wing and small forward where I think they are, wing and power forward where I think they're really good, and I think they're going to be okay at the 5. They may think they're fine. That said, we all saw what happened when they hit the Elite 8 and the difference between a team like Auburn and them. And so they've got to make up that ground. That's the mission. You just won the Big Ten. The Big Ten, winning the Big Ten next year will feel good if they did it again. If they won it by 3 games, it would feel great. It would mean the program's got some level of sustainability. But the real mission now is to be at the level of the teams that were in the Final Four. And anything less, would be a little bit disappointing. And again, I think this team is probably Jace Richardson away from that. And I doubt they get him back, but those are sometimes the breaks of that. Again, though, in a transfer portal era, can you go get somebody? Could they afford him? Could they not? Was there a financial issue? Was Jace Richardson in some ways a hindrance because of any possibility he might come back and a player's worrying about that, or the money they'd have to spend on him they couldn't use somewhere else? These are good questions that need to be answered.
Dominic next, number 1 couch. I hope you enjoyed your much-deserved sabbatical. You personally are responsible for Tatum's Achilles, you selfish son of a bitch. Thanks a fucking lot. And 2, we still pursued what? Have we still? Oh, you threw a 9. Have we still pursued Jace Richardson? Get Matt Mancarini on this shit. Graham, sorry, but Divine's what's his nuts doesn't do it for me. And Ebling already made a divine intervention joke the other day, and I nearly couched myself down a Kalamazoo elevator shaft. 3, you said a few years ago that Haller wanted to hear from fans about the game day experience, and he planned to improve it. Yet it actually somehow became worse. Is this failure to deliver an indictment on his tenure, or am I just eternally disappointed by Sexton Big Reds? And bonus, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Thoughts?
Love you, Dominic.
The eternal July topic.
Yeah.
Possibly in 2027 going away.
It's got to be in the Hall of Fame.
He's not going in, though.
He's getting in.
No. The writers have to do it, right? Isn't there a vote?
Isn't there like a veterans committee that can do it, or somebody
right?
Get him in there.
I thought a lot of the veterans don't want Pete in, but anyway.
Yeah, look, I'll look into more on Jace Richardson this week. I did my best thing I was going to do on vacation last week, which was I didn't look into stuff. I didn't Sunday night start even. It was like I'm not doing anything till Monday morning because that's how you start to resent everything. That's
Absolutely.
when you know the week off.
Everybody masturbates.
So I don't know. I can't tell you the answer to that. So. I'll get Mancarini on it though. That's a fair.
What's he doing? What's he doing right now? Is he on a story? Is he on a case?
He's working on stuff. Yeah, he does his stuff. He does his thing. I don't bug him. He's a private guy. I was at a baseball game with him yesterday, but different. Not the Friday.
Oh, you guys don't play? It wasn't your LSJ softball team?
No, he's not on that team. No, he's not.
Did you guys win this week?
We had a bye last week. No, we didn't. Luckily, I had a bye, so we didn't lose. That's the one time we didn't lose in the new division we're in. The question, the number 3 though, the idea that you said a few years ago, Haller wanted to hear from fans about the game day experience, and he planned to improve it. Yet actually somehow it became worse. Is this a failure to deliver on an indictment on his tenure? I don't like. What I would love to know from you, Dominic, and others who go to games all the time is where it's worse than like 3 years ago. Because, I don't know that it got better. I think the speaker thing was awful.
Pound the bushes.
There obviously were renovations a few years ago. I think there were different types of vendors put in there and stuff like that. But where it got worse, I would love to know, and where it could have been improved. Like, that's something that should be great. I don't share that fan experience. Like, I don't. I walk in, I park close by, I walk in. The only part of the stadium I go to, I get a 50-50 lot or a 50-50 raffle ticket, and then I go upstairs, and then I sit in the comfort of a press box. So I don't share the experience, and that's a weakness in my understanding. What it seems fine to me. My mother doesn't complain; she goes to a lot of games, so that's my that's all I got. So I would love to know specifics of where it's bad, where it's gotten worse since Haller took over, and if there's any place that's been improved.
Maybe me be next. Number 1, teams shouldn't empty the bench if they are losing. You made the mess, you finish it out. And 2, bagel and gaggle don't rhyme unless you're Graham.
Bagel?
It's a bagel.
It's a bagel.
I was in Las Vegas and I bought a bagel.
Bagel.
I shoved it in my face.
How do you pronounce it? Bagel, right?
It's bagel.
That's what I said. Bagel. I said bagel.
It's you say boggle.
I don't say boggle. I say bagel.
I mean, maybe just said it. Do you think she just came up with this shit on her own?
Gaggle.
Come on, bagel and gaggle.
Bagel is what I said.
Oh,
bagel.
Jesus.
It's not a bagel.
This show.
Yeah.
End this show now. And by the way, you should have to sit. Isn't it if you're on the bench during a 35-point blowout? Isn't it embarrassing watching some like
the subs come in for you?
Yeah, they got the 11th man.
Yeah,
it's pretty embarrassing.
I did like that, and it doesn't really work in a game 7, but I did like that idea earlier. If you lose by a certain amount of points, that it cuts a game off the series, or maybe it's a double win or whatever it is. You can't lose by 50. If you did that, then those guys would have to stay out there and try and.
Matt C. Next, Cam Ward needs to be a top 10 pick if MSU Hoops wants a shot at a Final Four. This offseason has been a C- so far, and from MZA. If this is it for Izzo in the portal, then it is at best a mediocre offseason.
Yeah, maybe. We just don't know. I mean, I guarantee you,
my team.
No offense to Matt C., myself, MZA, that there's a lot of shit we don't know. And yet we think we know because...
I don't know. Matt C. knows a lot of stuff.
Matt C. does know stuff.
He knew Haller was getting fired like a year ago.
Well, he made the call, actually. Yeah, Matt C. is a Matt Ishbia, by the way, for people who don't know that. And MZA, smart person, not knocking that. I'm just saying that what the appearance is absolutely correct there. And I've just said my opinion on this. I would have gone harder after a proven shooting guard because I think that would have been worth doing. Now, is it worth spending if it costs $2 million for that person and upsets the rest of the team? Is that person
to the white elephant in the room?
Do you tell
They
Jace?
don't want to deal with the white elephant in the room.
Do you tell Jace Richardson there's no coming back? We're bringing in this guy.
Yeah,
and
no
maybe
thanks.
you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. I'm just saying these are interesting conversations, and certainly more.
10% chance, Couch said.
I don't. That's
Jace coming back.
That's just my
90-10.
hunch. By the way, that's just my hunch.
I'll take a hunch. Matt C., honored fellow listeners want Dominic and I to host the show. Don't worry, Graham. We'd give you the Andrew Maxwell treatment and let you take a knee to end the show for the final 30 seconds.
I appreciate that, guys. That means a lot. I just don't want to be.
There was one listener, by the way, Matt. Don't get too big of a head here. There's one listener that said that. Listeners. Ethan Sharmella, number 1, one of the 2 sophomores, Makai Frazier or Brandon Toulis, become MSU's most featured running back. And 2, Cam Ward is the Jace of 25-26. Jordan Scott, over time, becomes more of a Spartan legend.
So the running back position is interesting for Michigan State because they are young. They got the Sacramento State transfer, and again, I'm never going to poo-poo a transfer running back after what happened a few years ago. But that is one position like I'm curious to see if they're okay at. I think they're going to be fine at receiver, fine at quarterback, and strangely, I got a feeling they'll be okay on the offensive line, even though that's still got to be proven to me. But running back, defensive line, these are the positions that I'm curious to see how it plays out. Cam Ward is the guy. Like Jordan Scott, I think is a big wing shooting guard. Like that's projects well. Cam Ward, though, is the guy of the two that I think is going to be hard to keep off the floor. I really think he plays a big role this season. I'm curious to see how they make that all work and what lineups look like. I think their wings through 5 could be really good for them this year.
Jebediah next. Izzo should be judged more by how his high school recruits develop, not the portal guys. Until last season, the guys he got out of the portal were his best players post-pandemic, and it was a horrid stretch per our standards. How his own players develop will determine each season's success.
Well, you judge by whether you win or lose. I mean, everybody can judge him their own way. They choose. Like Jebediah, you can have your own standards, and everybody can have their own judgment for him. And I think obviously you want guys developing in the program, and that's a good sign in terms of how you trust him, right? If somebody's going one season to the next, getting significantly better, or the high school guys they're bringing in are contributing, then that's important. Some guy like Jay Nakins did not. There are areas of his game that developed, and even though his shooting took a step back, but he was not like a developmental success story. After his freshman and sophomore year, he took a big leap, and so that's what you got to hope for a guy like Kurt Tang too. With Cohen Carr, Jackson Kohler, those guys have been better developmental success stories to this point. We'll see what happens with Jeremy Fears. They need that to be one, frankly. But yeah, I think ultimately it's whether you constructed a roster that can compete and contend for championships both in the Big Ten and beyond, and how you get there is less important than getting there. And how sustaining it, though, year after year, I think the better way is still to keep a lot of guys in program, right? Guys you develop, guys you recruit out of high school, and so you gotta be able to marry those two. I think it's hard to do, but it just this year it does seem like there is a potential hole at one position, and they have not filled that to the level in which you can say they definitely filled that with somebody you trust to be a go-to guy, right? We don't know what Trey Fort will be. We don't know what Kurt Tang will be. We don't know whether Jordan Scott can come in and contribute. We don't know whether they can use sort of creative lineups and they play big with. I mean, they got a lot of good wings and how that may look. And does Caleb Glenn wind up playing essentially some of the two? So you play, you could have a lineup that went like Caleb Glenn. Like if your best 5 players wind up being Jeremy Fears, Caleb Glenn, Cohen Carr, Jackson Kohler, and Cam Ward. Would that stun me? No, but you can make those 5 work on the court together. There's probably, there might be enough shooting there. We don't know for sure. So I don't know what it's going to look like. But you can right now there are lineups that I'm really intrigued about, and I think it's going to be a good team. The question to me is whether it has the chance to take that next step.
Big John Hogg next. Number 1, if there was a year for Izzo to break tendency and go after a 1-year mercenary, it was probably this one. Ah, well. 2, I cannot wait to hear Tiemann and the Rubes struggle through Ugochukwu.
You did it well there. You're better than me.
3, my Scotty won't win the career Grand Slam take is looking a lot worse. Dude is a robot.
He got it!
He's not. Yeah. The problem with Scotty is he doesn't. It's not like Scotty Scheffler is so different than like a Tiger Woods. Like even though he is dominant, like Tiger Woods was somebody who just everybody rooted for. Some people hated, but maybe he was polarized in some degree. But a lot of people pulled for. He was like Scotty Scheffler's not this guy who energizes. He's not this guy. I want to watch Scotty Scheffler play this weekend. He's just not
really.
That guy.
You don't want to watch Scotty golf? I mean, I don't know. He's getting to that territory, the Tiger territory, right? I mean, he's boring.
Yeah,
unless there's some stories that come out later on where his wife chases him with a golf club and an Escalade and shit. I mean,
we could use that.
You won't get that from Scotty. I doubt it. Corey Ostrom next. Divine is a huge pickup for Izzo. Great athlete, quick, good defender, rebounds well, and gets downhill. For those complaining about his shooting and stats last season, understand he's a backup point guard. In today's landscape, you aren't getting Cleaves to come in as a backup. And from Travis Maynard. Anyone coming as a backup was going to have a hole in his game. Divine's hole is shooting, and that's fine. He has a big body for a point guard and can get to the rim and is a plus defender, which is a hole that needed filling. Best part, there will be a little fall off during non-Fears minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think his upside is, you think back to like the Michigan State teams of the late 90s that had like Doug Davis as the backup point guard. Like, I think he's better than that.
But are you 4-on-5 on offense, though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's not a great shooter, and he needs to improve that, and I'm not saying he can't. But he's a decent athlete and get downhill. He's a good offensive player. He's just not a shooter. Not being a shooter does not make you 4-on-5 on offense. Tum-tum Nairn makes you being 4-on-5 on offense. You know what I mean? When you don't see the floor, when you're not aggressive going to the rim, like there are things that's not who this kid seems to be. I think in terms of getting a backup point guard, and this was a really good get. Like, this is one of the holes they needed to fill. I think they've done everything they needed to in this offseason except maybe that 2-guard spot. And, that – I don't know. That'll be the question. And that's going to be the question going into the season, how that gets filled or what the 5 look like they put on the court. That's just that. If this is the 11 that they go with, and right now I think it will be, then that's the question that'll linger.
Next one from Corey. A portion of the MSU fan base has become as insufferable as the school's fan bases they mock for the same reason. Judging basketball and football offseason success using the star system where it pertains to the portal is a fool's game. Depth pieces and fit are as important as anything. And bonus, betting golf is ass, but I will continue doing it as if I know what I'm doing. Welcome to it, Corey. Yeah. But the thing is, when you actually hit a golf bet, it's kind of like playing golf. It's like, you feel even better.
Yeah, because it is such a crapshoot. Yeah, you feel like you've done something.
Yeah, but even when you're betting top 40s and 30s and the guys are,
yeah, you're probably right though. There is
takes
a better
your soul.
There's a better feel to it than when you do win than most bets, because you just felt like, I beat the system. I beat the odds. The odds are so much, and you realize it's such a dumb thing to be doing. No offense.
None taken. Pete Duran looks like Divine is a really poor perimeter shooter. 18% from 3. Love that he's 6'3" and fairly athletic, but not sure if he has any of the spacing required to play alongside Fears at all. Interesting that he would leave a place where he was playing 20 minutes to be a backup at MSU.
Well, I mean, they were an awful team, so that's part of it, right? You're leaving to a place to be a team that was in the Final 8 to a program that's not very good, and I think if you're a guard who believes in yourself, you believe there's an opportunity, there's minutes. You look at, if you're him, and they may not see the same role in you, but you don't see a lot of, proven guards there. You don't see another ball handler besides Fears. It would be pretty enticing to me, and he's got several years of eligibility left, and you never know in the portal how long somebody's gonna be there. To me, it's it makes some sense.
Scotty Green's El Camino, number 1. Everyone, it seems, completely forgets about the guys already on MSU's basketball roster when we sign less than exciting guys in the portal. At least these guys aren't from the MIAA. We'll be fine. Izzo's earned our trust. And 2, welcome back, boys. Your show was missed. We celebrate your return, and I'm sure your wives do too. And 3, Pacers in 6, Couch. And Baked, if you try to fail and succeed, did you fail or succeed?
One of the great riddles of life.
Yes.
Yes.
Did.
Is that the answer? Yes, you did.
Sure.
One way or the other. Yeah. Yeah, the Pacers in 6, I've underestimated both the Knicks and Pacers all year, so I don't feel great about making.
Oh, just make a pick. Who gives a shit? Herb Street.
Give me the Pacers. Fuck the Knicks.
Dude, fuck the Pacers. How about that? As a Pistons fan, I just hate the Pacers. I hate the Pacers fans. So
okay.
I love the Knicks. Back when the Pistons were shit in the 90s, I kind of took a liking to the Knicks back in the 90s, the late 90s. The Knicks team, the one that made the 90s. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, the 90s, when they were the rivals against the Heat, and they were playing the Pacers every year. I hated Reggie Miller. I hated the whole Indiana fan base, so fuck the Pacers.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm not really.
Dave Beerwaldi. I turned to you real quick. Dave Beerwaldi next. I like this MSU basketball team going into next year. We're in a better position than we were last summer, especially if Kurtang improves, as he should. Are we still in the market for a big, or are we done now that Ugo Chukwu is signed? That name's tough when you don't read ahead.
Yeah.
It pops out of nowhere.
They're not. I think they're probably done. I don't think they're in the market for a big. And I think with Jesse McCulloch and Carson Cooper and Kohler, I don't think they see the need for a big. And I don't necessarily either. I think they're high on McCulloch. And again, there was a time when you didn't believe in who Cooper and Kohler were in terms of their development and where they were, and that was after their freshman year if you were going to bring somebody in for a year. I don't believe that's now. Now, you can look at the game against Auburn when they faced an elite big man, and they weren't, and it was a lot to handle, and they weren't good enough. And they're hoping a guy like McCulloch, who comes with a little more girth, can help with that, and they need Cooper to get better. But you're not recruiting over those guys at this point. You're just not. And I don't blame them a bit for that. The two-guard position I have some questions about. Like, are they going to be okay there? Do they have enough shooting? And we'll see. The rest, wing through 5, 0 questions on this team, at least about how they've handled it and what they're hoping for the roster.
Moneybag next. Best thing I saw during Graham's vacation, brought to you by Xfinity, was the response to Eli Savitz's campaign announcement. People haven't forgotten.
So did you see this?
I didn't. Who's Eli Savitz?
He's the guy who's the Washtenaw County DA who charged the Michigan State football players after the tunnel fight.
Right.
And he's running for attorney general, and he is not going to win because of that. I mean, like, Michigan State folks, it's one of those things, and he may be the greatest dude in the world, and I've heard good things about him from other people who know him. But this is one of those things that people do not forget, and you got a state that's split that way, and I guess it all depends on who you're up against in an election, but it's gonna cost them, and it should, frankly, because the way that was handled was poor, and from Harbaugh on down, and it's not just that those guys didn't deserve some level of accountability. But
don't you think Eli would be like, that's an even trade if you're a big Michigan fan, right? He's still going to get some sort of job somewhere.
Yeah, but even among like Democrats, you're splitting the vote. You're like, half the Democrats or MSU fans are going to go, screw this guy. No freaking way. And that's one of those. That is one of those roles.
Change your name, I guess.
A lot of people don't. Right. A lot of people don't do a lot of research on that particular election. And if there's one person on the like whoever's running against him could be the devil incarnate and might win the whole damn thing because like they didn't, press charges on Michigan State football players. I'm not saying it's entirely right even, but the guy's got no chance. I don't think. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I think it's going to really, really burn him because you can just people remember his name and they know him for one thing in this world. I mean, it's not great.
Or maybe people smoke a lot of weed like me and forget his name. They have to be refreshed. It'd be easy to run against him, right? You just run a little promo ad. Hey, remember this asshole?
That's possible.
Don't vote for him.
By the way, appreciate you, Moneybag, bringing in. Well done with the way you brought in the live read with Xfinity, which, by the way, one thing Xfinity does real well is you can get a mobile plan through Xfinity. Great deal. Like they have Verizon's coverage at a better price, right? And that is a really cool thing to have. It's top-notch coverage, better price. You can check it out at Xfinity.com. And also, if you want to go to, there's a great Xfinity retail store. If you're in the Lansing area, and they're around everywhere, but there's a great one in Eastwood Town Center. They'll help you out there. They'll take care of you. Any questions you have about anything they've got going there at the Xfinity retail store in the Eastwood place. The products, the deals they have. There's a lot of good stuff going on with Xfinity.
Sinner's Dog 97 next. You keep saying that boosters have to support Jonathan Smith now that Haller's gone, but I'm not so sure they will. If I'm a booster, I kind of look at Smith like the baby my wife had with the mailman, especially after he pissed away his goodwill in Ann Arbor last season. Damn, dude, your wife had a baby with a mail. Oh, man.
So
that sucks.
Here's the thing. I don't think this is entirely fair. Like the idea that, well, a couple things. One, if boosters don't support Jonathan Smith, like I happen to think he's a good coach. I happen to think he's got a pretty good staff. Now, has he proven he's going to win at Michigan State? He is not. But he showed he was a pretty good coach at Oregon State. And the number of All-Americans they developed and from where that program was and to where it was when he left it, the types of players they developed, the guys who've wanted to come with him and transfer to Michigan State, both on his staff and on the roster. There's some evidence there that there's some good things that they do. And to me, if the boosters don't support them, don't support Jonathan Smith, and they don't get it done, then that it's not on him. It's not on him if he loses. If you don't give him the resources to win in today, today's game, then it's on the boosters, and that will be the column, and that should be the story. It'll be on people who need to. It'll be on the university's inability to give him the resources and the boosters' inability to support him. If he does not get a chance with the right amount of resources to compete at this level, and he gets booted aside, that ain't on him. That's on everybody else. And then I question how serious and how petty you are. That's my problem with the boosters. And I mean, I will have no problem coming down on the boosters for that and coming down hard on them and questioning whether another coach should even come here of any if that's the way they're going to behave, if they don't get the way they want. You've got what I think is a pretty good coach right now and somebody who I think can win if they have the resources. And if you choose not to support that person, then fuck off. You're not a serious person.
Pound the bushes.
Ernie Harwell of Southern Maine next. 2025 is Aiden Child's last season in East Lansing. He either plays well enough to leave for the NFL or moves on for more money and a better chance of winning elsewhere. And Nick Marsh's last season in EL also, taking the Trey approach and not leaving money on the table.
Well, so this is what MSU has to make sure they're at a point not to let happen. You've got to make sure there is money. Nick Marsh you should be able to match whatever money Nick Marsh is going to get because he's going to have one more year before he's draft eligible after this season. Aiden Childs, like you look at the quarterbacks who are sticking around because the money is so good in college football and there's a guarantee of it, where there's a lot of unknowns in the NFL. And if he has a great year and Michigan State has a good year because of it and winds up going to the NFL, that's great for everybody. But if he has a good year and he's kind of an intriguing prospect, but he's not yet a first-round pick, like if you're Michigan State, that's where you got to step up and get it done. And that's where, if you're going to be a serious program, you can't lose those guys. And you've got to make sure the resources are in place. And revenue sharing will help with that because you can choose how much somebody gets. It could affect the rest of the roster, but then that comes down to your donors and what people want to do. And look, the other thing is, outside of the joy of Aiden Childs coming back or Nick Marsh coming back, there's not a lot of return on investment for these donors either. So, I mean, the whole system is freaking bollock. But it's just – that's the thing you can't let happen, though, if you're Michigan State and you want to win. You have to be able to start keeping players that you need. Like Derek Harmon a year from now, that sort of player, you can't lose anymore if you're going to win and you're going to have a chance to build on anything.
Daniel Patterson next. Number 1, the Minnesota Timberwolves will win the NBA title. 2, the Lions will start out 0-3 and fans will panic. And bonus and baked, MSU will go 4-5 this season in Big Ten games. MSU President Kevin Goosewitz will be gone by this time next year.
Timberwolves, I like that. There's still value on them if you want to pick them to win the Big Ten title, by the way. I can't imagine that Gustowitz is gone by next year. If he is, like, I have a problem with presidents like Ono at Michigan, like a lot of these guys who come in for 3 years and they're gone and they make these big initiatives and big plans. Like if I'm not saying things don't change and you need to get out or somebody's unhappy with you or the board gets rid of you, but when you take a job as a president that's going to affect a lot of people's lives, the direction of a university and a lot of initiatives and things like that, you should be committing for 6, 7, 8 years tops. Now, things can change within those, but anything less than that, I don't think you should ever hire somebody. And again, I don't think there's a reason to suspect he's leaving before that.
Couch on Fire, all we wanted from the Christmas portal for MSU was an upper echelon shooting guard. There were a number out there, and this is what we got. Some patches in the drywall and touch-up paint. And bonus, Torque edges Javi for AL Comeback Player of the Year, and Jason shakes his head until 2026.
Yeah.
Why am I shaking my head?
Well, because
I'm a big Javi guy now?
Yeah. I don't think you are.
I have a big head?
Yeah. Well, that's
shaking my big head.
Yeah. Look,
tiring.
It is amazing that, I mean, a big part of the Tiger story this year is, Torkelson, Javi Baez.
It's Javi Baez, though.
Well, and Casey Mize, too. They've had 3
but
players.
Out of the 3, though, it's got to be Javi. I mean, historically bad.
They thought
Torque was bad, but at least he showed, yeah,
but there was a chance he wasn't going to be on the team this year.
Yeah.
Torkelson. I mean, he was the same boat as Javi. He just didn't have the contract that forced him to be around. I think they're both up there.
Aiden's child, number 1, Graham. For months, you said that once the $20 million revenue sharing kicked in, MSU would be situated to be more competitive and would not need to rely as heavily on donors. Seemed obvious to me that this was always a zero-sum game where the floor of what was needed to be competitive was simply going to increase by $20 million. And Rube, Javi on PEDs would look like a 180 batting average with 12 home runs and all the same terrible chases out of the strike zone last year. Javi on PEDs would not look like his 307 batting average with only 5 home runs and seemingly a lot fewer terrible swings compared to last year. So he's taking Adderall then? Is Adderall a PED?
He's taking better at bats. He's more patient. I think he feels better about himself. I think
it's roids.
I think the big thing that's happened is there's just not as much pressure on him. He's down in the lineup. He's on a good team. He's not good enough to be the guy who is supposed to carry a lineup, and that's what
I think he finally just checked his ego at the door, too.
Yeah.
And said, you know what, if I have to play center, like, wherever you guys need me, just let me. That's what he needed to do a couple years ago, too.
So real quick, the first part by Aiden Child here. I do think one of the more interesting things that's going to happen is we are going to see, after the revenue share is put in place, what the rest of the athlete compensation looks like and how much it is. I mean, it's going to be obviously from donors. How much this clearinghouse from the NCAA has any teeth that these teams are signing on to, and what that looks like. It's going to be interesting. I don't think we know exactly. I don't think it's going to look exactly like it is now, but I also know that Ohio State in football and Indiana in basketball and all these, they're not going to accept having the same amount of resources as Purdue, right? So something's going to happen, and there will be still a relying on heavily relying on donors to a degree. But there's donor fatigue at Ohio State. There's donor fatigue everywhere. I mean, the whole system doesn't work. It just doesn't work long term. So the problem is we do like 40 shows between one season and the next, and we nothing actually has changed yet, and so we just sort of guess on where things might go. But things are gonna change over the next few years.
David Jackson next regarding sports that MSU could cut. Seems that rowing is the obvious choice. Why? It's because there are no young rowers. No one follows the sport. Aren't the kids mostly athletes who couldn't make it in their real sport? So second-tier softball and volleyball players who aren't good enough to play get a scholarship to row, which they don't even know how to do when they enroll. That college has jumped on the women's crew bandwagon simply because it's cheap and rosters are large is an insult to women.
I don't know if it's an insult to women, but it's sort of it's certainly working around Title IX is what it's always been, because nobody cares about crew. And it certainly is a sport that, while a lot of high schools do have crew teams, believe it or not, but it's still not a sport where that is where a lot of those players and athletes come from. So
it's like a good workout.
You're right on. Yeah, it's a good workout.
You have to be an athlete, right?
But there's no doubt. It's a workaround for Title IX. That's what the whole sport's existence at the college level is.
Richard Kane, those sounds you heard in the last week or so were the NBA championship windows slamming shut for the Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics, and Bucks. None of these teams will win another title this decade, maybe longer, and bonus are baked. Javi Baez will win World Series MVP, and Jason will wear his jersey every podcast thereafter to show that Javi has become his favorite player. I tell you what, if we win the World Series and he is the World Series MVP, I will get a Javi Baez jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I would love to see Muskox do is like a jersey form of a Muskox flannel. I don't know how it would look, like an old English D, white, with the classic. Do you think that would look good?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Am I overthinking it?
You should just stick to sports rating.
Yeah, maybe
design,
so.
Clothing design's your thing.
But if you're as dumb as I am and you
look by his flannel.
Yeah, if your ideas are as bad as me and you look as shitty as I do, Muskox flannel is here for you. You don't overthink it. Whether it's Father's Day, whether it's for yourself to look your absolute best and feel your best, the comfort and quality of Muskox flannels, there's just no question about it. Do yourself a favor. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code for Couch and the Rube listeners, Fix It in Post, for $15 off your flannel purchase. They also have really cool hats, some great baseball caps, tees, great stuff there at gomuskox.com.
Kurt Wisniewski, number one, Scotty Scheffler is unstoppable. Dominant performance at the PGA Championship. And 2, MSU football will finish 8-4 this season, and Jonathan Smith comes out of his shell to showcase his hate of Michigan. And 3, June 6th will deliver a nail in the coffin for Michigan football.
Well, I don't think the ruling will be that quickly. That's, when the infractions committee is meeting. I don't know, but I do think they're going to.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
I do think they're going to come down a little more on, and it'll be interesting to see what it is, because I also think this is a moment for the NCAA to show it still has some teeth. And if you don't do anything here, I don't know that anybody takes you seriously moving forward.
John Naughty, Graham, I repeat, Sharon Moore was hired to take the fall. And no, Graham, it's not ass and it doesn't suck. The hammer's about to drop, all deserved.
Sharon Moore hired to take the fall. If that comes out.
Welcome to the blue
They just
wall.
knew the next coach was going to take it, so why not? Yeah, I don't. I
There'd
wouldn't
be
put
a lot of people signing up to take the bullet, I think.
John's a smart guy. He knows things.
Matt C can host this show.
Yeah, John and Matt C. Yeah. Dominic come in. John can be their insider. Matt C with the opinions and Dominic with the entertainment.
The comedy relief.
Yeah, I love it.
Shit, we're out of a job. Derek Studans next. MSU will go 8-4 or better this year with the easier schedule and improved offensive line. And baked, Michigan will struggle because they start Underwood, who's not ready, and goes 6-6.
Well, this could actually happen this year to Michigan. They could be pretty good. Freshman quarterbacks, no matter how great they're supposed to be. I mean, it's a tough job to do without a lot of experience. And I would not be surprised. I don't know what they'll go. 6-6 would surprise me, but they'll lose a game if they start Underwood all year. They'll lose a game or two because of him. Because you're just going to make mistakes as a freshman. It is what it is, and that's going to be part of the deal with like how when you play these recruits a lot. That now there's the expectation they start immediately, but you got to grow with them, and that's the hard part when you're in a situation in college sports where it's tough to build anything and everything's 1 year to the next. Some years aren't going to be great if you're starting a freshman quarterback who you paid a lot for. I'm curious to see what that looks like this year. They may be good enough in other areas, and certainly they'll beat up on some of their schedule because they're physically better. 6-6 would surprise me, but 8-4 for Michigan would not if you're starting a freshman quarterback.
Therese next. Number one, anyone who says to watch Black Mirror can fuck all the way off. That's one of the saddest, most fucked up things I've ever seen. She sees me naked, by the way, too.
That's
crazy. Wow. Two,
there's a vision.
Thanks for the excitement, John Rahm, but keep it up and you'll be with Greg the Leg. Gambling related.
She was not happy about how John Rahm.
Yeah, you don't want to get into Greg Zerline. By the way, one of the worst nicknames of all time. Greg the Leg Zerline.
Yeah, you
don't mess with T-Lo's fantasy team.
Does she get angry when she's watching? Was she?
No.
Yeah.
She, believe me, she understands. She watches her husband gamble on this shit. So she threw $5 after the middle of the third round. So I think she's like 25-1.
That's not
odds on that. No, it was a great bet. It was absolutely a great bet. So no, but she was just kind of more bummed that John Rahm exploded and went 5 over in the last 3 holes. So.
It's so frustrating. It's and the worst part.
But that's golf, you know.
Yeah, no, it's more frustrating for Rahm himself, but to watch him do it is never.
It was really bizarre to watch him blow up. Like, I understand golf is hard. I understand it's a major and all that shit, but man, 5 over in the last 3.
That is, by the way, a story we're telling presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. Just in case you forgot, they are now open Sundays 11 to 4 p.m. with their Sunday fun breakfast menu, breakfast burritos, mimosa flights, really cool deals. They do a breakfast brunch as well as a brunch as well as anybody. I've taken my mother's there for mother's. Let me try that one more time. I take my mother's there for Mother's Day. Been there other times. I think they do it really well. Trivia on Tuesday nights. Great place to have a beer after work or just skip out on work, watch a day Tigers game. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, Jason is the president of Javi's fan club. 2, live golfers suck at competitive golf. And 3, Scheffler has reached douchebag status.
Really? Is he considered that?
No, not at all.
Wow.
What did he do? Is he because he's winning? He has 3 majors, 15 wins, and
does he come?
By the time he's 28,
punchable face? Maybe I don't
know, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's well liked in what I thought every community. I don't think he's at the level where people think he's a douche. I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He goes home and has a glass of milk and watches his kid. Goes to bed. Blow. What is this fucking name? Blow GEW Boner. Blow Jew Boner. Is that what you're fucking doing to me?
I'm sorry. That's what he
you're not even gonna.
That's what he put.
You're just gonna put that in there.
That's what it was. I don't edit people's screen names. I mean, otherwise.
I understand that. Yeah. All right. Blow Jew Boner next. Having to not see a new show from Couch in the Roof for a whole week is bullshit. WTF.
Thank you, Blow Jew Boner.
MSU Stan, what got bigger, your wallet betting the Tigers money line or Graham's waistline during your hiatus?
I'm up about 7 pounds, so yeah, that didn't go well. It was a problematic.
Dude, I watched the PGA. Andrew from Groovy Donuts came over and he brought some extra donuts that they had, and I did an absolute number on them. And it was just, it's so great going down.
Amazing.
But I know.
It's amazing.
Thankfully, T had somewhere to go today, so she took the rest. But I just, man, I can't stop eating those things. DMB, number one, MSU fans don't get enough credit for treating scumbag Johnny Spirit like he deserves. I already taught my 4- and 6-year-old to yell at him to get a job when he rides by on game days. With that said, please get him on the show.
I love it.
Oh, I'd love to. 2, MSU settling with the Hitler quiz company is comical yet predictable. No backbone and always such an easy target. Would be nice if the new president and AD showed a backbone for once.
I'm just picturing a 4- and 6-year-old yelling, "Get a job!"
Johnny Spirit's ass.
For people who don't know,
Big 10 plus his ass.
Michigan State settled for, I think, $30,000.
What?
They were sued by the Hitler, the company that had the quiz that was on the video board at the football game that had the Hitler question. And to be honest, I agree with the company a little bit here.
So it wasn't the company. I was thinking it was someone, the fan in the stands.
No.
Or
No, the company basically was like, and the company sued for $150,000, settled for $30,000, whatever. Said they're fine, but the company that does these YouTube videos said Michigan State did it apparently without really asking or anything. They just took this video off YouTube. And then they threw the company under the bus, like, we won't be using them anymore. And the company's like, we didn't even tell you to use us. Like, we of course you don't use a Hitler joke like right after. This was like right after October 7th or what. I mean, this is maybe it was.
So what you're saying is you have to read the story to get the details. Because I was thinking one way.
I'm saying I kind of agree with the company. The Michigan State they threw the company under the bus. Like, Michigan State screwed this up. And they
rubed it.
Yeah, they rubed it.
Yeah.
No question. Yep.
Some shit I would do. We could just use this. No one's going to care. Original Darkman Antonio don't often agree with Rico, but he had a point that is 100% correct. Holy shit. Should we stop the show? Rico had Anyway, paraphrasing, he said MSU should stop trying to compare to or be concerned about all things Michigan and stop placating to the media. Be who you are. Embrace it and just keep pushing forward.
Rico said that?
Yeah, right. It doesn't sound right.
Doesn't,
that's what he would say?
Doesn't track. Look, I do
Was
think
he sedated? Or?
I do think there are two. Part of you're correct in one way and incorrect in the other. Like, you have to be who you are when you try and get away with that. But you should try to be the best version of yourself. And people are always going to be concerned about Michigan because they're the rival. This goes back to Michigan not wanting Michigan State to be in the Big Ten. That relationship is toxic, has been for a long time, and so you're always going to be concerned. I mean, Michigan was concerned as hell about Michigan State when things weren't going well for them a decade ago and Michigan State was winning, right? You're going to be concerned about the other one. That's just the way that it is. There's going to be the comparison. But you have to win your own way. You have to be who you are as a program. You're different schools, you're different programs, and there's no question about that. Michigan State should focus on being the best versions of themselves and whatever that looks like.
C-Dubs 91 hot take. The MSU football finale at home would be better attended if there was a noon kick. Screw that other game down the road. And reasonable take. MSU baseball tweeting it was Omaha bound after sneaking in as the worst seed in the conference tournament is the definition of cringe.
I don't know. I mean, they went 28-25, 13-17 in the Big Ten. There were a number of teams right in that realm. They didn't look like they were going to get in, looked like they blew it, and then they won on a walk-off, so they were excited about that, and a lot of things went right. Only 12 teams get in. I know that's a lot of the Big Ten. There are only 17 baseball teams in the Big Ten. But I know what you mean. The Omaha bound, it's just you take your wins where you can get them, I mean, if I'm MSU baseball, I'm celebrating that too because I think that is the baseline for that program. They need to be in the Big Ten tournament every year. If you expect more from that, I would ask you, how many baseball games did you attend this year? Or what? How much do you care?
A real fan?
Well, I'm just saying we don't like. I struggled this going back to Jackie Joseph with MSU softball and those teams that weren't very good. I didn't cover them, and so why am I going to weigh in and say, I didn't care enough to have an opinion on anything else but her coaching status. So, I don't. At a certain point, just if the university doesn't care and you don't care, then why does everybody get up in arms about it? If they have a nice run, they have a nice run. I'm not saying that's where you should be, and maybe you are invested, and it would be fun if MSU baseball had a nice thing going. I'm not saying it wouldn't be, and maybe they should strive for that, and the new AD and president will decide that's something they want, and Jake Boss won't be the coach anymore. But I don't know that the resources and the situation up north and being built in a floodplain is built for success.
Parker Weiss next. As a natural fan, there's not much worse than a blowout in Game 7. The Maple Leafs should be ashamed. And Baked, it is crazy to think about how all of our lives in some way revolve around pieces of paper and metal that someone at some point decided had value.
Cash, yeah. And coins. We ought to do we had the success and failure one. We ought to do a sponsor thing on the deepest thoughts and questions of the day, because I think these are good, and we could take advantage of it. Basically, is what I'm saying.
A lot of deep questions today.
By the way, to C-Dub's first one about the MSU football game, if it was a noon kick, going against Michigan on that Thanksgiving Saturday. They used to do more of that. I remember a year when I was covering Western back in the day that part of the issue that Michigan State or that Western had with the basketball game is that Michigan State and Michigan were both kicking off at either noon or 1 or 12:30, whenever it was back then. And Michigan State was playing Penn State opposite Michigan, Ohio State. It used to not be something you worried about, and you're probably right that they shouldn't care about it as much.
Thomas, next July may be the slowest overall month for the pod, but May is the least compelling month for the MSU football news. And bonus, there's no good reason why everybody in the Metro Detroit area needs to be driving that crazily. Sounds like that's everywhere.
Yeah, I don't live in Metro Detroit, so I don't worry about it. But I wouldn't.
But Lansing, that's pretty.
Lansing's easy.
South side. What are you talking about? They're having drag racing problems here.
Yeah, that's at night. If you're not
in your neighborhood.
Yeah, not my neighborhood. my little Bohemia. Although our streets are all dug up for the sewer project. Overall, yeah, May is the least compelling month for MSU football news. Yeah, the whole summer is. In July, really, the best thing about July is Moneyball. Nobody cares about football in July because the Moneyball Pro-Am exists, and it's MSU basketball season.
Mike Scott next. Number one, despite the great start to the season, the Tigers need a middle-of-the-order bat. Ideally at third base or right field. If you need to trade 2 prospects and 2 other lower-level prospects to do it, Scooble isn't getting re-signed. The time to win is now. And 2, the Pistons took the eventual NBA champions to 6 tough games in round 1. The Knicks are winning the NBA title this year. Trade for Booker or Laurie, and let's go.
That'd be Laurie Markkinen. I don't know if Laurie Markkinen is the answer because I think he's going to cost too much. Markkinen is the type of guy who is below a number 2 on a championship team who costs you like a number 2 on a championship team, and I would be weary. Booker is not.
And he's white.
And that also.
We don't want that.
But Booker is a guy I would absolutely consider.
Scott, are the Tigers legit? Is there it's such a long season, and a leveling off of some guys is coming. It's still May though. What are they missing to have a deep playoff run?
Yeah, I mean it goes back to the previous point about a fear bat, a bat in the middle of the lineup, maybe. And I would like to see how they juggle things and what they look like when Meadows and Vierling are back. Again, Meadows made such a difference last year, and you start to look at the lineup as a whole. Are they still missing that player? I think right now the beauty of it is you don't know for sure, and you got some time. A month from now, you get to late June, and you look at it, and you start to think, okay, before the trade deadline, does that move need to be made? I don't think you worry about it. Let guys come back, let things unfold for the next month, and then reassess.
PZ next. Jason Benetti will be on the Detroit Broadcasting Mount Rushmore in like 3 years.
He's really good. It's just a joy to listen to him. I feel
bad. Say, isn't he on there now?
I feel bad.
Him and Shep,
for our old friend Shep. That
whatever. He had 5 years.
He did, but they were so horrible.
He's making $500K a year.
But people associate him with bad baseball, and as soon as Benetti started up there, it's like, oh. But I will say this: even when the Tigers were bad at the beginning of last year, Benetti was really good, and so Benetti just is really good. It's great to have him. I'm glad he's not stuck with the White Sox too. Imagine what that would be like if he was still there.
Fart Soup, can I come and be the Rube's PA for the show? I can get him MGs, weed sodas, donuts. I can even hit the real nice penis button. That's this one.
Really good pianist.
And he said he tried pianist.
Yeah.
Pianist, someone that plays a piano. That's what
really good pianist. I think
pianist.
It's up to the Rube. I don't know how much help he needs. How much would it actually be of help to have somebody in there with you throughout the show?
Yeah, why not?
Going to get Jersey Giants.
As long as he laughs at everything I say, that's pretty much all I ask for.
They could bring us some Midtown Brewing Company maybe in the middle of the show.
Actually, if he could just drive me home, that would be the best part. If I need the ride from Ovid to here.
Yeah.
That's why I can't, people think I do so many MGs and shit. I'm like, I can't drive like that.
There you go, Parts.
Mr. Benjen keeping mashed potato head as MSU's football coach is the same old no juice milk toast BS. His buyout is 50% off, so get rid of the schmo.
No. His buyout is only off if he leaves. For other schools, it still costs like $33 million if they fired him right now, or I believe I have to look at what maybe more than that. Maybe that might even be after next year. it's a little mixed up in my head right now. The buyout is if he wants to go somewhere else. So that's where the buyout has changed. And again, man, I'm telling you right now, he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. I just do. And I don't think he's had a real – there's one season in. And, again, we've got all – it's shows like us that are part of the problem. I mean, not us specifically. Well, us specifically. But, that we just have all this time to keep talking about it with nothing that actually happens. And all it takes is one 75-yard run or a good win at USC and all that stuff, and there's some juice. And all of a sudden people feel differently. So we just got to have a little more patience and, do some other things. Masturbate once in a while. Just get away from it.
Jay Riemenschneider, a question/take. What the hell is the deal with all these e-scooters just thrown down in random yards, store parking lots, and street corners? I don't know the protocol, but shouldn't they be returned to the charger they were taken from?
That's not really how it works. The idea is you can just set them down somewhere and the next person gets them.
Dude, so people throw them in the Grand River.
Well, that's a problem. That's a separate. And they do that in Michigan State too. To the
right.
Cedar. And
people suck.
Total issue. Did I tell you I got scammed by a couple kids doing this? I told this story, right?
You did tell that story.
Yeah, it was not great.
You swiped the card for them, and then it was like a $15 charge.
No, it was a $50 charge.
Oh, $50.
Yeah. It took me a while to realize I'm not supposed to do that. So that was a story back when I told it.
Helping people or the scooter thing?
Just don't get scammed in a city. If a bunch of young teenagers ask you to look like they just want
nope.
I just wanted to be a nice guy that day, and
you wanted to be cool.
You
thought they'd be like, oh man, that's one cool white guy.
And I just thought I thought it cost like $1. That's what my thing. I thought I was giving them like $3 for 3 scooters, and then I realized that was really dumb, and I'm probably liable for all that
they
stuff.
Rode that thing to fucking Arizona.
Yeah, story we're telling presented by Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, where you can get to very easily from a lot of places around Lansing on an e-scooter.
Hans Jurgent with only one hot take. Has your life sucked for years? Trust me, it will get better. Just ask the Detroit Tigers.
Well, if you got to wait that long, it's not great.
Yeah, but there's a chance.
Yeah.
Like Jace coming back.
But
10% says Couch.
You have to put the work in. The Tigers eventually put the work in. They got rid of the old GM.
No one wants to do that.
They got rid of the old GM, right? So you might have to get rid of the old spouse, that sort of thing.
Don't tell T.
No.
Jake Hawkins next. Number 1, MSU finally got its backup point guard. That's cool. I don't know too much about him. It'll be interesting to see how he does. So Jace Richardson is only an even 6 feet tall without shoes. Wonder how he'll do in the NBA. Will he still be a lottery pick? 2, the NBA might have some interesting parity with a 7th different champion upon us. Only appropriate that Reggie Miller gets to call the Eastern Conference Final between the Knicks and Pacers to end TNT's NBA coverage. P.S. If the Knicks don't win it all, they won't till 2073 and forever be overrated.
I appreciate you, Jake.
3, about the Lions' schedule. You knew it was going to be a lot more tougher than last season. I say 10-7, 11-6, 12-5 max. Well, that's 3 picks, Hawk. If they're lucky. But in regard to the NFL schedule release, can we please not come to air and tell any leaks before the official date? I found that nerve-wracking.
Jake had some thoughts. We were off a week, and Jake had a bunch of different things. He was ready. I love it. Jake brought it. So, Jake, to answer your first point, I don't know that he'll still be a lottery pick. I think he'll still be top 20. I've seen some, and again, I don't know where these mock drafts how real they are. One had him drop down to like 20. I think he's somebody that'll still go somewhere between 12 and 20, which is a really good spot, and maybe where he's desired to go. I talked to his mom about this a while back. They're worried about the second contract. They're worried about good situation. They don't want him in Charlotte. They want him someplace ideally that has a little more of a proven culture and a little more of a better chance to win. And that doesn't always happen between 12 and 20 either. But they're definitely not worried. This is not a kid who needs to maximize every dollar right now. And
so are we up to 25%? He's coming back.
No,
was it 10 to start the show?
10 or less.
With what you just said, it seems like we could boost it to 25.
I'm not going to do that.
I just want to boost it.
I'm not going to do that.
All right, finally, the jerk guy. Number 1, MSU will hire the UNC AD because cronyism. Spartans will start the season 1-4, and Smith will be fired following a loss in Nebraska. Freddie Kitchens will be brought in because cronyism and Spartan football will not get to a bowl game until 2031.
Wow, depressing.
And bonus, a balanced diet is holding a donut in each hand.
Well said. This is, just when I think you don't have any reason.
Donuts yesterday.
Oh, man.
Shit.
I tell you what, Groovy Donuts was at
so delicious.
On Saturday night was at the Lugnut Stadium. They do their thing on the 517 day.
Yeah.
Man,
swung through.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you. Thank you for producing our show as always. Thanks for your patience while we're gone a week. You guys mean the world to us. We appreciate Muskox Quality Flannels. I'm telling you, Father's Day's coming up. Think about it. It's a great way to get your father-in-law on your side, to tell your dad you love him, to tell the dad in your life, whoever it might be, your husband, yourself, that you care, and that you care that they feel good and look good with something as quality as a muskox flannel. Go muskox.com. Fix it in post for $15 off your flannel purchase. And, of course, we appreciate Midtown Brewing Company, our friends at Xfinity Comcast. We'll be back Wednesday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.